Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, September 17th. Still quite an active scene in the Atlantic Basin with respect to tropical activity. Sally came ashore early yesterday as a Category 2 hurricane in the area of Gulf Shores, Alabama. It is continuing to move quite slowly to the northeast, putting some heavy rainfall down from southern Virginia across the Carolinas. It will continue to move to the north and east over the next several hours, and the heavy rain will extend all the way up into the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula before it all pushes off the eastern seaboard by tomorrow as a strong cold front drops south and east from the Great Lakes to the eastern seaboard. Meanwhile, there are two other tropical systems that we'll focus in on over the next several minutes that are of concern here. One is situated right now kind of tucked in along the southwestern part of the Gulf of Mexico. It is moving at a snail's pace, and the problem with this particular system is it looks like it'll be kind of stuck over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico for several days to come and then start to drift to the north, and it very well could impact the Gulf coastline anywhere from Texas across to the north central part of the Gulf of Mexico, maybe as late as the middle or latter part of next week. That's how slow of a mover this particular system is. It has a very good chance to first become a tropical depression and then likely a tropical storm. And the fact that it just meanders around over those warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico is quite an ominous sign. And we'll have to monitor this closely, especially for the Gulf coastal region all the way from Texas to Louisiana to the panhandle of Florida. Meanwhile, out over the central Atlantic, we have Hurricane Teddy. Latest maximum sustained winds about 105 miles per hour. This is of concern for Bermuda and then perhaps even New England, especially the northern part of New England. We'll talk about that over the next few minutes. First of all, this is the island of Bermuda out here, and it looks like Teddy will continue to move on a track and likely have an impact on Bermuda over the next couple of days. And by the way, Teddy could very well become a major hurricane in the next 24 to 48 hours or so. If so, it would be the second major hurricane of the very active tropical season in the Atlantic Basin, the other being Laura. Again, it has a chance to become a Category 3, maybe even a Category 4 before it passes near the island of Bermuda. Then, after it passes Bermuda, that's when things get a little bit more complicated. Basically, we'll see very, very strong high pressure developing across the southeastern part of Canada, the Canadian Maritimes. It's entirely likely that Teddy will move in this fashion and then start to get influenced by this high, and that could actually pull it back to the north and west, maybe even towards the state of Maine, or certainly Nova Scotia, Canadian Maritime provinces. We're talking about early to middle part of next week. So with this building high across southeastern Canada, we'll have to keep a close eye on Teddy over the weekend, especially into the early and middle part of next week, because again, could help to turn it from a northerly direction near Bermuda to more of a northwesterly direction, and perhaps to the area of the northern New England or southeastern part of Canada. Meanwhile, Sally again continue on a northeast track like this across the Carolinas. The heavy rain will extend all the way up to central Virginia and maybe the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula, this region right here. There will be showers back into the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia later on today, especially tonight in the overnight hours into early Friday. Then a cool, dry air mass arrives on Friday, and it'll be the coolest air of the season so far for places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. In fact, temperature should drop to the middle 40s, in maybe the low 40s in many of the suburbs along the I-95 corridor region. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, maybe even into the early part of next week. Well, this is the latest radar loop of the remnants of Sally causing some heavy rainfall northern half of Georgia, South Carolina, into the Carolinas, and now well into the southern part of Virginia. Again, it'll go all the way up into central Virginia and impact with some heavy rain across at least the southern half of the Delmarva Peninsula, maybe the southern tip of New Jersey as well. There will be showers that extend all the way up into D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City, and maybe a decent amount of rain in D.C., but the heaviest stuff stays just to the south and east, it looks like, at this particular time. Again, a slow mover, and it'll take all day and all night for all of this to push off the eastern seaboard. That cool air mass that arrives on Friday will not only flush the skies of the smoke that's been in the mid-Atlantic region, but it'll help to push out all this rainfall. We're really now evolving into quite a dry weather pattern in much of the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. It's been dry for the last few days, dry and quite cool. And other than this rainfall later on today and tonight associated with the remnants of Sally and that approaching strong cold front, it looks dry for several days to come. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, probably even Tuesday and Wednesday of next week for places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Well, let's walk through last night's European model run. All these maps available on, from WSI Incorporated. Again, this is the European model run from last night, 0Z. We're starting off with the remnants here of Sally over Georgia and the Carolinas, and we'll just move forward here, and then we'll talk about Hurricane Teddy. And here's the forecast map for this evening. Again, heavy rain extending up into central Virginia, southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. At the same time, we have some very cool air pressing to the south and east across Canada, into the Great Lakes, and right towards the Mid-Atlantic region. Let's keep moving forward here. And here we go. Some very heavy rainfall as late as early tomorrow morning in places like Richmond, Virginia, maybe the southern half of the Delmarva Peninsula. And very edge of the map, you could start to see Teddy showing up. And again, this could develop into major hurricane status over the next 1 to 2 days or so. And also, take note, here we have the system over the southwestern Gulf of Mexico going nowhere. It will intensify, likely reach tropical storm status over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, and then tend to drift to the north. So let's keep moving forward here from, this is now, let's go back to that time period. This is Saturday morning now at this time, and here we have Teddy now showing up quite noticeably. Cooler, drier air into the mid-Atlantic region at this time, and again, some low temperatures in the low to mid 40s in suburban locations along the I-95 corridor. Now let's keep moving forward here as we get into the latter part of the weekend. This is the Sunday morning forecast map. Teddy near the island of Bermuda. Again, it could reach category 3 or even 4 status over the next couple of days. Very, very cool air for this time of the year into the northeastern part of the nation, the coolest air so far. And take a look at this now over the western part of the Gulf of Mexico. Very impressive looking system. It's the last thing they need down in the Gulf states is another strong tropical system, but indeed that's what it looks like will happen. Now let's keep moving forward here as we get into Monday. This is now the Monday morning forecast map from the 0Z European model run. This time there's high pressure building in both at the surface and in the upper parts of the atmosphere over the southeastern part of Canada. It looks like Teddy at this point could go harmlessly away into the northern Atlantic, moving basically north. But because of this building high in this region right here, it starts to kind of force Teddy to turn to the north and west. And that is just a little too early to say if this will pan out. The timing, the exact timing of the arrival of that the tropical system with the high pressure area will dictate the ultimate track of Teddy. And meanwhile, the system's still sitting over the western part of the Gulf of Mexico. Now let's keep moving forward here and watch what the European model does. This is the state of Maine right here. We keep moving forward here in time, and indeed the European model It turns Teddy to the north and west, right towards the northern part of New England, into Maine, Nova Scotia. Perhaps as a hurricane, a little too early to say. It looks very strong at this particular time. Meanwhile, in the Western Gulf, still a tropical system at this time along the Texas coast. This is the Tuesday afternoon timetable we're talking about here. Now, let me point out, this is the European model. The GFS does not agree with that turn to the north and west of Teddy right now. The GFS generally has it continuing on a northerly track once it bypasses Bermuda, and that would likely be certainly a less ominous solution as the system stays out over the open waters of the North Atlantic. Let's go a little bit farther in time, and there goes the system into the southeastern part of Canada. And by the time we get to the middle of next week, European model has a strong tropical system, maybe tropical storm status, maybe even hurricane status, not far from the Texas coastline. So still two tropical systems to monitor over the next several days. Hurricane Teddy looks like it may become a major hurricane over the next couple of days as it closes in on the island of Bermuda. After that, it will become influenced, more and more influenced by building high pressure across southeastern Canada that could result in a northerly direction turning to a northwesterly direction, perhaps into New England, especially the northern part of New England, such as Maine, or the southeastern part of Canada, Nova Scotia, for example. We'll have to monitor that over the next several days, and the timetable for that would be Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. At the same time, the system over the southwestern Gulf stays pretty much over the open waters of the warm Gulf of Mexico over the next several days, just meandering around, and that is not good at this time of the year. It very likely intensifies into tropical storm, maybe even hurricane status, and we could be dealing with that system somewhere along the Gulf Coast early to middle part, maybe even into the latter part of next week. So still a lot of activity to monitor in the Atlantic Basin. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.